Yes, guys, Manchester United are finally getting in on the act in the transfer market. Donny van der Beek, it's nearly done. It's nearly official. It is nearly confirmed. The bid has been accepted. As the title says, Ajax have accepted a bid of £36 million, €40 million, plus add-ons. I haven't got a rundown of exactly what those add-ons are just yet, but they've accepted a €40 million deal plus add-ons for the transfer of Donny van der Beek to Manchester United. And we're finally getting on the market because it's been a long, I say long, it seems long, but it's really been a short summer. The season only really ended for us mid-August, 20th of August or so, our semi-final against Sevilla. So in reality, it's only been about 10, 15 days max, but it seems like such a long summer. And the reality is, because the season is starting again so soon, we have to get in on the market. And you're looking on at the rivals like Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, to an extent, I would say rival, who are getting on the act. They're signing players. Chelsea are doing an absolute mad thing. And we've been hearing about and speaking about and talking about this Sancho deal for the longest while, that it seems like we're just here forever. So when this Donny van der Beek deal broke, 48 hours ago, a few rumors going around, and for it to be agreed, and pretty much he's going to be here this week. We're hearing in terms of medical and personal terms, paperwork, all signed, sealed, and delivered. We've moved pretty quickly. I'm not going to lie. Have to give credit where it's due, because we talk about Man United taking long on deals, and yes, this is a player who we've been linked with because we just get linked with everyone. But when the first credible stories get touted, maybe 48 hours, for us to sign a player already, listen, I mean, dreams do come true. I'm not saying Donny van der Beek is a dream come true, but it's definitely a position and a player who we desperately need. Yes, as Red Devil Studios says here, not British and cheap. And I like that, because what that says to me is that we're not just relying on what we see in the Premier League, what we all just see on a week-to-week basis, the likes of someone like Grealish. Not to do with the nationality. I don't care. As long as the player's good enough, they're right for Man United. But it means that the scouting network and the scouts that we have abroad, across Europe, etc., we are relying and trusting them and their judgment to say, all right, let's go and sign a player. And it worked with Bruno Fernandes. For me, we got him 6 months too late, but we got him nonetheless. And he's been a massive improvement and a big impact on our team. And as all the reports say, Solskjaer has extensively scouted Donny van der Beek and, of course, the scouting team. And he's sanctioned this deal, and it's one that his interest and his, I guess, how, I won't say desperate, but how willing he was and how much he wanted the player at the club, that has made Donny van der Beek feel like Man United is a place for him. We heard that Spurs, imagine, tried to come in with an 11th hour bid to prize them away from us. And to be honest, apparently it was that Spurs approach that sparked Matt Judge to say, all right, no negotiation, no back and forth, no long thing. Here is the money you asked for. Because listen, start of the summer, actually start of lockdown, Van der Sar, sporting director, and all of those at the head of Ajax said, listen, if Donny van der Beek, if the price is paid, he's available. And I think anyone coming through the Ajax system, then the plan is that they move on to a bigger club. So Ajax are never going to hold back their players from moving on to bigger clubs as long as they get the right price. We've seen it with De Ligt, we've seen it with Ziyech, De Jong, and now we're seeing it with Van der Beek, as long as the price is paid. And thankfully, we haven't gone to this back and forth. We've got a good relationship with Ajax, and I want to keep that good relationship, because we know how many talented players they bring through their academy. So to have someone like Van der Sar, somewhat of a Man United legend, over there as a sporting director, we keep that relationship and we can possibly do future deals. But as far as this one goes, it's a deal that we had to get done. We need strength in depth in the midfield and attacking areas, and Donny van der Beek brings that. Where, I was asked today, where does he fit into Man United starting 11? And the honest answer is he doesn't. He doesn't fit into the starting 11 at the beginning. But if Pogba or if Bruno dropping their form or anything like that, we've got quality backup, quality in reserve, ready to take their place. Whereas as it stands at the moment, before this signing, McTominay, Fred, Pereira, Lingard, they're not threatening anyone. Them at their best day is probably not even as good as Pogba and Bruno on their worst day. So that's why we need the strength in depth. So when the first 11 do drop off, or they have to be rested or whatever it might be, when we bring in the reserve or second choice or rotation players, there's not a massive difference between the first and the second. And Donny van der Beek brings that versatility, which is very important. He can play, and he has played for Ajax as a central midfielder, as a box-to-box and an attacking midfielder. So he can cover multiple areas within that midfield play. So for me, it's a no-nonsense signing. And the reason why it's such a good sign is because at £36 million, 40 million euros, you're not breaking the bank for someone that might be backup. He may end up being first choice if Pogba was to leave, or Bruno or Pogba's form was to drop off, whatever. If Solskjaer wants to change his formation, whatever it might be, goes into a diamond, etc. He may end up being first choice. But you don't spend 80 million on someone who doesn't go straight into the first 11. And for me, Van der Beek doesn't go straight into the first 11, but he strengthens the squad. And if we're going to be in the Premier League, Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup, we're going to need a proper squad. And what we've got at the moment, as we've seen, Solskjaer's been so reluctant to actually call on those players that in some ways actually cost us. It's actually cost us his lack of faith. And I don't blame him for the lack of faith, because those players have not proved throughout the season that they're good enough to take Man United where they need to. So, getting players in who Solskjaer trusts is the first element to be able to actually use those players to progress throughout the season. So at £36 million, I think that is an absolute snip. I must stress, it is not done until he signed the dotted line and I see him holding that Man United shirt at Carrington or wherever they take those pictures. But we know that the fee has been agreed. No negotiations, 40 million euros plus add-ons, £36 million. I'll see if I can actually see if there are, what the add-ons are. Fabrizio may have tweeted it, but I saw the likes of Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes liking some social media posts, Twitter and Instagram, regarding the transfer. So they're as eager as us Man United fans. Like, we need this deal. We want a deal. And this is a good deal. And I think they're as desperate as us fans. Marcus Rashford himself is is a fan of Manchester United. I'm just looking at Fabrizio. So he's done the article. It's £35.7 million fee plus add-ons. I don't think he said what the add-ons are, but it will be a 5-year deal. So sign on to 2025. We know that Real Madrid were interested in just before the lockdown, coronavirus, which shows the quality of the player, but they didn't follow through with it. And as Solskjaer said, as bad as it may seem or feel, he said during the lockdown that Man United hopefully are in a position to take advantage where other teams can't of the current predicament we're in. No, we don't. We didn't want this predicament. We didn't want this pandemic, but we have to make the best of the bad situation. If we're in a position to make the best of the situation more so than others, then we shouldn't feel sorry. It's not our fault we're in this situation. We can only adapt in the best way possible. Comment here from Kevin K. You don't need Van der Beek when you got Bruno. We do need Van der Beek, even though we got Bruno, because behind Bruno is Lingard and Pereira. And the fact that you said I'm guessing you're not a Man United fan. We know how the rivals, you being possibly a rival, I'm not sure who you support, have bantered those players like Pereira, like Lingard, like Mata, McTominay, Fred. You've bantered them for months, if not longer. So you know that we need a Van der Beek, even though we got Bruno, because those behind are just not good enough. If they were good enough, then of course we wouldn't. But the fact is, before Bruno came in, those guys were starting and we weren't touching top four. Bruno comes in and we finish third. So I think that just shows the level and difference between those players. So let me just go through some of the tweets that Fabrizio put out. I mean, we heard about this before Fabrizio actually put it out, but being the tier 1 journalist that he is, you hear a lot of rumors. You need a confirmation from those who are really in the know. I'm not talking about those in the know accounts. I'm talking about those who are really in the know, who don't just tweet or post for the sake of trying to get social media traction or anything like that. So he said, Man United board know that Donny van de Beek would like to join. He's ready to open talks with Man United on personal terms. Donny knows his agents are in contact with the club for weeks. This was 5 hours ago. That was 5 hours ago. And then since then, he said Man United are confident and convinced they are going to sign Van de Beek without negotiations. That was 3 hours ago. And at the same time, he said after new contracts, also in the last hours of his agent, Man United have reached a total agreement on personal terms with Donny van de Beek. So at that point, 3 hours ago, all they need to do is submit the bid. Bid was submitted 2 hours ago, an hour ago. Bid was submitted and agreed, about an hour and a half now. Bid was submitted and accepted by Ajax, and all it needs now is really pen to paper on the deal, the verbal deal that was agreed between Man United and the agent, and him to sign and do the medical. Rodney said Donny's a sick name. Listen, when I saw Donny van de Beek, I was like, you know what? Let me Google what his actual name is. So I went and typed in Donny van de Beek. Went onto Wikipedia, said Donny. I was like, okay, cool, but that can't be his real name. Because full name, Donny van de Beek. No. Scroll down, personal life. There's nothing that says Donald, or I don't know, what's any other variation of the word Donny? I don't know. That's mad. Man's name just Donny. Donny is like a nickname where I'm from. Man's name is just Donny. So yeah, he's a Donny. And listen, if he bangs, we're gonna find a song around him being a Don. Kevin K. Van de Beek isn't a bench player. He will have to start somewhere in the team. Bruno, Van de Beek, and Pogba won't start. Van de Beek isn't a bench player at Ajax. That's there. At Man United, it's not a case of just because we bought you, you must start. Fred costs 50 million. I know Solskjaer didn't buy him, but if man has to hold bench, man has to hold bench. But the reality is we are in four competitions, and with especially this season, with everything so condensed before the Euros, games are going to be coming thick and fast. So he's going to get a lot of game time, a lot of starts. Don't get it twisted, especially the fact that the likes of Pogba and Bruno ended the season playing game after game after game. He's going to get a lot of games. And if he plays well enough, then he's going to play more. So it's not a case of he has to start somewhere in the team. We know Bruno, Van de Beek, and Pogba as a midfield three ain't going to work. But having the option of taking out a Pogba and bringing in Van de Beek, or taking out a Bruno and bringing him in and maybe putting Pogba higher up, whatever. It's options. It's all about options. And 36 million in this market for an option when you're chasing. Look at Man City's squad. That's what we're talking. Look at Man City's squad. And I'm not even saying, obviously, Man City aren't the champions, but they won it twice in a row. Look at their squad compared to ours. They got Mahrez was coming off the bench. This last season gone, Bernardo Silva wasn't starting. Sane was injured. They've got that level of player on their bench. And they're costing 30, 40, 50 million pounds. So just because we buy Van de Beek and we have Bruno, we have Pogba, you can't play 12 players. Somebody has to get dropped. So it is what it is. Like, if Van de Beek's playing good and Pogba has to get dropped, then Pogba has to get dropped. If Van de Beek's playing good and Bruno ain't, then he has to get dropped. It is what it is. But I just want the option. I want the option to be able to rotate and bring in players. And I think being in the Champions League, I tweeted out all our fixtures after Champions League games, and it's mad. Like, we got the away games are like mid-table sides or tough games. Anyway, I think it's like Leicester, maybe a West Ham there, or so Southampton. I can't remember, Everton. And then the home games after Champions League is like Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool. Like, we're going to have tough games on a Tuesday and then playing on a Saturday. So we're going to need all of those midfielders that you just mentioned. Rodney said, meanwhile, I'm seeing Arsenal ball with El Neni in pre-season. Listen, from what I hear, I didn't watch the whole game. From what I hear and from what Ramsey said in his review, he had a decent game. People were saying, I mean, obviously he's banned, isn't it? But Maybe not. People said he was the best Egyptian on the pitch. Salah didn't play that well. El Nene is not going to be your first choice. You've got Xhaka. I don't know what's happening with Ceballos. Maybe he's going back to Real Madrid. I'm not sure. Who else you got? I was gonna read off a name of players, but you ain't got a bunch. You got Xhaka. I don't know what's happening with Guendouzi. Who else are you midfield? I'm not gonna lie. Maybe you need to strengthen that position. Maybe you do, because I'm not sure El Nini is the one. I'm not sure. Kevin K again. Earlier spent 240 million just over a year. Lampard spent nothing. Finished on the same points. Van der Beek will be your only transfer. Forget about the Sancho. Forget about Sancho. The Gauges won't have it. Well, listen. Maybe the Gauges won't. Maybe they won't. But let's get it right. Let's get it straight. Ollie spent 240 million. Cool. What does that mean? Spent 240 million. What was it? So you should win the league? I don't understand. Lampard spent nothing and finished on the same points. You're conflating one transfer window, someone coming in January, someone coming this season who hasn't even come, and then saying he finished on points. Well, if you're talking about finishing on points, we spent 200 million. You finished on the same points. But you spent 100 million. I don't care whether it was Lampard or Chelsea. The team Chelsea inherited had Kovacic at 40 million and Pulisic at 60 million. You invested that into your squad that Lampard took over. And you can't say, oh, well, he didn't want Pulisic or Kovacic, because those two were some key players. Probably, well, Kovacic, people are saying your best player this season. Chelsea's player this season. Pulisic, I mean, he's definitely top 5 of your most influential players this season. After lockdown, probably your most. And I'm saying probably, I'm saying your most. Not even know probably about it. So whether Lampard wanted them or not, 100 million was invested to make sure you had reinforcements going into the season with the loss of Hazard, and it paid dividends for you. On top of that, Lampard took over a Chelsea that finished 3rd and won the Europa League. A Chelsea squad that is full of Premier League winners. You've got players in there who have won the Premier League, some who have won the Champions League and Europa League. Man United's team that Solskjaer took over was in 6th when he took them over. They finished 6th that season. And he's invested 200 million before this year, 200 million into a team that finished 6th and finished 3rd. You invested 100 million and went from 3rd to 4th. So again, what's your point? I don't get the point. Rodney, Steve Neeks, after Xhaka is poverty, your midfield is looking nice, but do you think, a DM is still needed long term? Yeah, listen, McTominay, I think he's been touted. He's been groomed to take over Matic's DM position. But I don't think it's not his natural game. No, it's definitely not his natural game. Matic is already old. And he's getting older. McTominay has to show me something this season to say that he's ready to take over. I don't think he is. He's a box-to-box midfielder. I don't think he's going to be a defensive midfielder in the way that we would need to play. He's going to pick up the ball from the centre-backs and then distribute it. You have to have a good passing range. And neither Fred nor McTominay have that passing range. What Fred has is the legs and the mobility to get around, snapping at ankles, breaking up play, but he has to instantly pass off to better players. Whereas Matic has a pass on him. He just doesn't have the mobility. Not that he was ever the most mobile player, but imagine at his age, he's even less mobile than he ever was, as good as he still is. So I think a defensive midfielder for me is still important. Someone in DD for me would be perfect because he's playing the Premier League, and he's got the mobility and the tenacity in the tackle and those things. Thomas Partey, I think he's one of an obvious choice because of his price as well. He's got a release clause of about 50 million euros, I think it is, about £45 million. Leicester would charge an arm and leg for Indeed. They charge an arm and leg for everyone. They've sold Maguire for 80, Chilwell for 50. sorry, guys. Chilwell for 50. in the past have sold Mahrez over 50 as well. So if they're gonna sell Ndidi, and they're trying to build, let's start trying to build. They're gonna want 50+ million for him. I don't know how many years he got left on his contract. So yeah, Thomas Partey, for example, would be a good signing. But I think maybe they'll go with McTominay as a backup. McTominay and Fred as a backup to Matic this year and kind of see if they can do the job. The thing with Fred, I've heard some talk about him possibly going to I want to say Fenerbahce. I don't know if that's correct. I think it's Fenerbahce. And maybe it's the fact that he's gonna go to Fenerbahce and that money we're gonna get in is kind of being used to fund the Van der Beek deal. I don't know. That's just rumors as far as I'm aware. It's not clear cut, but I thought Solskjaer was actually done with Fred. I'm not gonna lie. But then at the back end of the season in the Europa League, he started playing him over McTominay. So maybe he's really just sussing out McTominay, Fred, who is the one to take over from Matic in that position. We'll see. I think this year, I can't see us buying a defensive midfielder this summer. We've got Van der Beek. What we need now is a centre-back. We still need a centre-back. And we need Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho ain't going anywhere in terms of out of our minds. We still need Jadon Sancho, a right winger. We went into this market as a priority. We've got Van der Beek, cool. But what Sancho does, he instantly improves our first 11. Van der Beek doesn't improve our first 11. He improves our squad depth, our strength in depth, our bench. Sancho improves our first 11 immediately and therefore improves our bench because whichever player we replace in the first 11, whether it be Greenwood or Rashford, they instantly go onto the bench and our bench is stronger. You can now bring on a Greenwood or a Rashford, or if it comes to it, a Martial, if Greenwood somehow moves to number 9 this season. And that's a much better bench than just having the option of a Garlo, for example. So Sancho improves the first 11 immediately, which we're going to need if we're going to move towards challenging for titles. And a centre-back, a fast centre-back for me to partner Maguire. I wish it could be Bailly, but I don't think you can trust him on the injuries anymore. And that's the problem. If centre-back partnership and your goalkeeper, you want to keep that trio as solid and as consistent as possible. So because if you mess up, we've seen it with Lampard. He doesn't know his best two centre-backs. And whether you think they're quality or not, mistakes that they're making sometimes aren't technical. It's to do with unfamiliarity between the partnership and the keeper. And they don't know what each other are going to do. The keeper doesn't know what they're going to do. And they don't know and can trust what their keeper's going to do. You need to get that consistent. And I think if you're going to go with Lindelof and Maguire, yes, it's consistent because both of them are going to be fit, but they don't complement each other. They're both slow. They're both good on the ball. Maguire's better in the air than Lindelof. Lindelof is good at one-on-ones, but none of them have the recovery pace that you need as a partnership. And Bailly has that. Tuanzebe has that, but neither of them have shown that they've got the fitness to last 38 games. Maguire played every game this season. We need another centre-back who can play 30 Premier League games at minimum this season. So we have to go and get a centre-back. We have to go and get a centre-back. We have to go and get a right winger. Yes, Red Devil. But when was the last time we signed a player in 48 hours? I'm not dissing Bailly. For me, when Bailly's fit, he's our best defender. But the fact that's the first kick, when Bailly is fit. We've been saying that for 4 years. I think in 2016. We've been saying that for 4 years. When Bailly's fit. That can't go on. It can't go on. Obviously, you get rid of Jones, you get rid of Rojo before you get rid of anyone else. But you need a solid centre-back partnership. No, I agree. Shaw has been out longer. But as I said, the centre-back partnership and the goalkeeper, for me, are probably the most important. Because if you mess that up, your whole defence is finished. You can get away with having a dodgy fullback either side. You can. But you can't get away with having dodgy centre-backs or a dodgy centre-back partnership. You can't. Let me see. I missed a comment. Yeah, Kevin K. You conveniently forgot to mention Lampard lost Hazard. Yes, you lost Hazard. Cool. We also sold our main striker. So you want to say 200 million? I'm saying 100. You say you lost Hazard. We lost Lukaku. We didn't replace him. Sancho also left. Sorry, Sanchez also left. We didn't replace them other than with the players we already had and from our academy. You brought players from your academy that you loaned out. Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, and you brought in Pulisic. And you started off with a better team than us already. I'm not going over this. Sancho's not happening. Why would he go United? He can go PSG, Barca, Real Madrid next summer. Liverpool can't afford him unless they sell Mane or Salah. PSG wouldn't, and he wouldn't go, I don't think, unless they sell one of Mbappe or what's it called? Mbappe or Neymar. Barca, I mean, if they lose Messi, then yeah, maybe, but they're not cash rich. They're really not. Madrid, yeah, Madrid for me are a big threat next summer. Forget Chelsea. He ain't going Chelsea. Madrid for me is a big threat next summer, hence why we need to get it done. But he wants to come back to the Premier League. We know he wants to come back to the Premier League. We know that he wants to join Man United. He's not going to force it because he's still happy at Dortmund, but he wants to come to Man United. And the only thing holding up the deal is the fact that we haven't bid exactly what Dortmund want. That's the only thing holding up the deal. Nothing to do with Sancho and his what's the word? His inhibitions or doubts about joining. It's purely to do with how much we're willing to pay Dortmund. Sorry, guys. We'll see what Kevin K. Van der Beek. Will Van der Beek finally unlock Pogba? Listen, I'm not even answering that question. I'm not even answering that question. What are you talking about? Unlock Pogba? Pogba is playing well. Pogba's been playing well since we came back from lockdown. What more you want from him? All I want is the ability to rest Pogba. All I want is the ability to rest Bruno. That's all I want. Pogba doesn't need to be unlocked. Pogba has been playing well since lockdown, since the first game when he came off the bench against Spurs, and in the last game when we played against Sevilla. There's little elements that if we get a more mobile defensive midfielder, Pogba might be free to do more attacking, but he's doing well in the role that he's in. So, no, Van der Beek, the only thing he's going to unlock is Pogba's ability to get some more rest. For real. Ramsey, Van der Beek, surely Pogba replacement. Listen, if it's a Pogba replacement, it's going to be next summer. Pogba's staying this year. That's guaranteed. Pogba's not going anywhere. So if we have both of them this year, and then next season, Pogba goes, get 100 million, so be it. I don't know. Hopefully, he signs a new contract. But if we're looking to challenge for a title, we can't replace Pogba with Van der Beek. Because they're in the same situation, or worse situation, because Van der Beek ain't as good as Pogba, and you still need a better bench, because you can't just rely on Van der Beek and Bruno. So if we were to get in Van der Beek and sell Pogba, we're actually making ourselves worse and pulling ourselves further away from a potential title challenge in the next couple of years. Let's see. Liverpool are not spent for 2 summers. I think they are saving to splash the cash. You know what? I don't think they are. I don't think Liverpool have the cash to splash. I really think they have to sell. The reason why I say that, you say they haven't spent for 2 summers. That's because they went all in. Remember, they bought Alisson, Van Dijk, Naby Keita, and that was at increased price, if I'm correct, than was initially touted. Naby Keita, Fabinho, and of course, you know, the season before, Mane, Salah. They spent, I haven't got the numbers in front of me. I can run them at another time. It's not important right now. A lot of money. They were planning on putting their staff on furlough during the lockdown. So I don't think they've got this cash just waiting to splash. They have to sell 100%. So you say, yeah, Salah, Firmino, and Mane will be 30 plus. I mean, not next summer. They're not going to be 30. Firmino might be 30 plus. The other two, I think they're about 28 at the moment. But they'll have to sell one of them 100%. So maybe they'll sell one or two because they're 30, 29, but they can't buy Sancho as well as keep all of those front men. I can guarantee that. Someone asked me about, oh yeah, there was Red Devil Studio thoughts on Thiago. I think he's going to Liverpool. I think that talk has been going on for too long for him not to go to Liverpool. It's 30 million euros. Liverpool are scrimping over 4 or 5 million pounds. So when you think about that and they say they're going to splash next time for Sancho, yeah, behave, man. But they were scrimping and scraping over Jamal Lewis and they went for Tsimikas as a second choice. They're scrimping and scraping over Thiago. I mean, listen, if we took Thiago from under their nose, listen, Liverpool Twitter might go in meltdown. You ain't seen Liverpool Twitter in meltdown for a long while. 25th? What year was it? 2014? 2014, when they lost the title on the second to last game week of the season. I don't remember how Twitter was. But I tell you, if there was a meltdown there, when Gerrard slipped, that's the meltdown that you will see if Man United's teeth Thiago from under their nose. That's what you will see. Gerrard slip proportions. That's all I'm going to say. But Liverpool are favourites. That's all I'm going to say. Liverpool are favourites for Thiago. Sam said we need an anchor for our team. And being our team being Man United, I guess. Yeah, Matic is a good anchor, but he's just not mobile. Maybe we'll get away with one more season. But as the years go on, it gets more and more of a liability, especially against the top teams, because they'll move the ball quick in that midfield. And what you then find is because of Matic's lack of mobility, Pogba then drops deeper to help cover for that. And if you have a DM who can do that job, like you look at Man City, peak Man City, so you're talking Centurions, and you had Fernandinho as the lone anchor man, and you had De Bruyne, even though he was injured for a lot of that season, wasn't he? But I think you had Bernardo Silva and David Silva, whoever may be, as the eights, basically a 2 8s and a 6. And that 6 just sat there, won the ball back or fouled, as Fernandinho does, gave it forward, and let the creative midfielders and the wingers and strikers do their job. Matic against the better teams can't really do that because of his lack of movement and energy and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think we do if we're talking about challenging for a league title. But I think if we're honest, our league season starts in 2 weeks. Our league season. If we're going to challenge for a title this season, like how I think Chelsea will based on who they sign, we will need to sign a right winger, a centre-back, a left winger, and a defensive midfielder. That's the truth. We have to sign 4 more players. And all 4 of those have to go straight into the starting lineup if we're going to challenge for the title this season. I can't see that happening. I think there's maybe 2 more transfers, a right wing in Sancho and a centre-back, if I'm honest. There's been talk about Benoit Badiashile from Monaco, young centre-back. I don't know. I haven't seen much of him, so it's hard for me to speak about. So I can't say if he's going to be the answer to our problems. But at 19 years old, I'd be very, very surprised if he was the answer to our problems. I don't think you can rely on a 19-year-old to come in and do something like that. Even I think you mentioned Eduardo Camavinga. He's 17 years old. Is that you're talking about Eduardo Camavinga? He's 17 years old. We could get him in, but I can't bring in a 17, 18-year-old and say, right, now you're the man to lead us to a title. You have to give foreign players really a year, if we're being completely honest. For a young foreign player coming in, you have to give him like 2-3 years. And I think that's very, very harsh, or just unfair on him to say, he's the answer to our prayers. Long term, maybe. But if we're talking about challenging in the next couple of years, Camavinga ain't the guy who's going to do that. And listen, unless he comes in and just balls, I'm going to think, how many 17-year-olds have come to the Premier League from abroad and balled? Ronaldo came at 18, he balled. But we didn't win the title for the first 3 years that he was there. You have to allow them to develop. And Nelka came in, how old was Nelka when he came to Arsenal? 18? I think it was about 18. He balled. He was very, very influential in them winning their title in 98. Yeah, he balled. But there's not many. You may get some through the academy, the likes of Michael Owen, but they didn't win a title. Michael Owen came in, absolutely burst onto the scene for Liverpool, won them 3 trophies in 2001. I ain't calling that a treble. League Cup, UEFA Cup, and FA Cup. I'm not calling that a treble. It's not a real treble. But good prospect for the future. For the now, I can't put that pressure on him. But listen, there's midfielders out there. Yeah, defensive midfielders. I mentioned a couple of them already. There's midfielders out there. You know who I did want? I actually wanted Idrissa Gueye. I wanted Idrissa Gueye for a number of years. And when he went to PSG, I was annoyed because I'm thinking, a man said Mount. A man said Mason Mount. He did all right. Mason Mount did all right. But he didn't come from abroad. How old is Mason Mount, actually? He didn't come from abroad. And he's 21. So he ain't 18, 17, as the guy I was talking about, Camavinga. But he did all right. But he didn't lead you to anything. As I said, you went from 3rd to 4th. But well done. Rodney says Trent. Even Trent. When Trent first came in, don't you remember? Trent was getting buoyed in that first season. I think he only came in the January because I think maybe Klein was injured or something like that. And at first, he struggled. Rashford tore him a new one in that game at Old Trafford. I think we won the game 2-1. And he struggled defensively. But for a young player, if we're going to take into account, let's say last season, when he was about 19, yeah, he's a young player who balled. I'll give Trent that 100%. Young player who's come in and been a key player for a team that's challenging or winning the title. So I'll give him that. Kevin K. Mount had a better goals to assist record in Holland than Van der Beek. Okay, well then Chelsea are going to win the title. You've got Mount. We only saw. We're suffering with Van der Beek. Oh no. Oh, now Chelsea's going to win the title. Win the title. You lot spent 320 million since Lampard's been in charge. 320 million has been invested in the squad, and you ain't done yet. You're still going to go get a keeper. Go and win the league. Don't worry about what we're doing. Don't worry about us. We're just poor old Man United with a PE teacher. You lot do your thing. You got Lampard and you got Mount. Do your thing. That's all I can say. But yeah. Listen, first bit of business pretty much done. Pretty much. At least I said something. Until he's holding that shirt up, I ain't saying it's done. But it's done. But we get that done. Well, you don't let me know. What do you think we need next? I said right winger and Sancho and a centre back. For me, this season, those are the minimum positions we need. Defensive midfielder, left back will be ideal. But if we get a right winger, a centre back, and Donny van der Beek, I think we've had a good window. All things considered, I think we've had a good window. So you don't let me know. What do you think Man United need else this season? This summer transfer window. I'm just looking up to see if we got any more. Not more. But in terms of Van der Beek, so last year, 8 goals, 6 assists in 23 Eredivisie games. Obviously, their league finished early, didn't it? They didn't come back after lockdown, so their league finished early. So when is the last time he's actually played? Because I know he was out of the squad for their last game. Was it a preseason game? Or was it the official start of the season? I can't remember. I'm not 100% sure. But he might not have played for a little while. So he might not even be fit to start the season. In terms of match fitness, we're talking about. In terms of match fitness, I don't know. A new CV with no criminal record. Listen, that's funny. I laughed. It's funny. But to be pedantic, and I have to be, Maguire ain't got a criminal record as it stands, because according to Greek law, it's a bit weird. Because he appealed, the original guilty verdict is actually stripped off. So he's actually now not guilty again, which is where usually if you're guilty, you're guilty. And when you appeal, you're still guilty until you win the appeal, if you win the appeal. But in Greek law, maybe it's because about how the courts work and which court you're taking it to, the first conviction has actually been squashed. So he's actually, again, innocent to proven guilty. Harry Maguire to jail. Here we go. Sentence confirmed for 12 months. Player traveling to Greece for medical. That's a good one. That is a good one. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, Donny van de Beek, central midfielder, attacking midfielder, box to box. He's a very, very versatile player. One who I think can just bring options, good options to our squad. And we need it. We need it. Raphael, big up my boy Raphael. He is the Dutch Aaron Ramsey. Well, listen, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're saying that as a compliment, because Aaron Ramsey is and was, I say was, I haven't, to be fair, he ain't really pulled up any trees in at Juve, but I mean, man's on 400,000 a week. He's had a decent career. I don't blame him if he ain't either doing what he needs to do to pull up the trees, or, I mean, if he's not, Sarri was flopping last year. So Sarri, I don't trust that Sarri was even planning on getting the best out of him. That it was a mess what Sarri was doing at Juve. So I'm not going to put that all on Ramsey. But yeah, he's a Dutch Aaron Ramsey. He makes those late runs into the box. A lot of he gets a lot of touches. I think even more than Bruno, and more touches in the box last season than Bruno Fernandes. And Bruno Fernandes is a goal scoring midfielder. So if I mean, Aaron Ramsey went to Arsenal for 7 million, I believe it was. I remember Man United, Everton. If it was Man United, Everton, Arsenal were all in for him from Cardiff, and he chose Arsenal, 7 million. Now, that was back in, what year was that? I want to say 2008, but I could be completely wrong. That was 7 million then. We're in 2020. Listen, I ain't got the actual conversion of the amount that you paid, but looking at how much fees are for now, for transfer of players, we're probably paying somewhere around that region for Donny van de Beek. So, and we know how key he went to Arsenal. Yeah, 2008, I was right. He went to Arsenal. He was a very key player for Arsenal, especially in those big games, FA Cups, coming out with big goals time and time again. Goals from the midfield are very, very important. The way that Martial links the play, holds out the ball and brings others to play, if we can get runners from the midfield. And people criticize Paul Pogba at times for his inability really to get in on the goals more, making those late runs into the box with his physicality, etc., and his ability to score goals, whether it's in the air or anything like that. I think Van der Beek will do that. I think it's a natural instinct for him to actually get into the box and be effective in that area. So as long as Solskjaer plays him in the right way and gives him that license to get forward, which I'm sure he would. If Solskjaer said that he scouted him, it's been said that he scouted him for extensively for this time, you wouldn't do that and then say, all right, I want you to play in a deeper role. Very much a compliment. Will score goal, arrives late into the box. Yeah, as I said, Sarri's system is very much rules-based. Hamzik also struggled under this. Yeah, he doesn't like instincts of play. You're right. No, I mean, Sarri. Cool. Listen, that Juve were poor last year. Juve was so poor last year, and a lot of that has to go down to Sarri. So as I said, yeah, I can't just pin that on Ramsey at all. But we'll see if he can rediscover, I guess, his form or sharpness under Andrea Pirlo. We're not sure exactly how Pirlo's going to play. He hasn't had any real experience in management. I think he was only managing the B team for about 2 weeks before he got the main job at Juve. So we'll see what happens there. If he's the Dutch Ramsey, then he can he can be the guy to end your 3-year trophy drought. Yes, because Ramsey was the player that ended Arsenal's trophy drought, wasn't he? When he scored, did he score the winner in the 3-2 victory against Hull in the 2014 FA Cup, and that was 9-year trophy drought, wasn't it? So yeah, you're right. 3-year trophy drought, if you can call it that, you know. Man just building it. Man just building. So listen, if we win a trophy next year, finish in the top 4, based on the player, well, I said the players we bought, the one player that we look like to be getting, it wouldn't be a bad season. For me, our main aim realistically this year is to solidify Champions League positions. And that means we're not in a race for top 4. We're not going down to the last day of the season and needing a win. No, that means we're comfortably clear of 5th place, and we've closed the gap to first place, even 2nd place as well, because we were miles behind Man City, who were miles behind Liverpool for the title. So we want to close the gap on the top 2. I'm not expecting a title challenge, and we want to extend the gap between us and 5th place. So we're not in a race for top 4, because that's not how we're supposed to be. The amount that we've invested, even post Ferguson, even though it's been completely wrong, a lot of the investment, the amount that we've invested, we shouldn't be competing for top 4. You don't spend all that money to compete for top 4. You spend that kind of money to compete to win the league and win the Champions League. A lot of it's been invested wrong, whether it's through the lack of a structure at the club, poor just managerial decisions or board decisions above. So that's where we need to be aiming. Top 4 shouldn't be an aim for the season. That should be a given, and we're looking to win. But of course, we have to build to get back to that. So we get a couple more signings, as I said, and we can be in a position where we don't have to go into seasons. Man City and Liverpool ain't thinking about finishing in the top 4. For them, it's a given. They're thinking about, are we going to win the title this year? Are we going to win the Champions League? I mean, for Man City, it'll be for the first time. We'll see a quick transition team. Not sure how we fit with Fernandes, though. Would work well with Pogba. It'll be interesting to see how Solskjaer decides to use the 3 of them. They're not going to all be playing, as I said earlier, not all going to be starting together. No way he's going to do that. You're going to need... The only way you could do that is you play the diamond, and he ain't going to do that. He's going to play with Matic or whichever holding midfielder he wants, and then he's going to have a choice of 2 from 3, Pogba, Bruno, and Van der Beek, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, guys, listen, I'm just happy we've actually started making some signings. I said 2 weeks before our season starts. Yes, the transfer window ends on October the 5th, I believe it is. The 5th? I think it's the 5th. Which means, yes, we can make transfers up until then, so we've got over a month. But the season starts in 2 weeks, and you want to get these players in. You don't want to end up 3 games in, and you're 6 points behind the lead already because you decided to wait to save a couple million here or a couple million there. Get these transfers done as quick. And as Red Devil Studio said earlier, 48 hours from the first credible links to this deal being all but complete, all done by the shouting, dot the I's, cross the T's. That's a record deal for Man United. I don't see that very often anymore. We see it sometimes with Chelsea. We see it with Man City. At times, we see it with Liverpool as well, to be fair. Man United one seems to drag all summer, and then they get done for the first price that was quoted. I'm glad to see this one got done quick. And hopefully, we can get a couple more done very, very quickly before the season starts. Guys, thanks for joining me. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you.